It's getting set up for a show.
Oh, shoot. Do you want me to put this
No, that's okay. You can put that anywhere you want. Hey, yeah, Mom. Yeah, I'm heading to the show right now. Yeah, Kevin's actually getting... Oh, there's Kevin. I gotta go. I gotta do the show. Okay. Oh, hey, guys. Didn't see you there. We're back with another show, the 411. And you're used to seeing Lee Sterry, but I guess I'm going to be taking over the show today. It's local Louie on the 411, and it's powered by WeeStream. It's fueled by Gales Gas Bar, and we're going to take it into Fiddler's Poorhouse for another great show. And I'm going to get situated over here. We have a lot to talk about today. I'm just going to wait till I get set up, and we are going to get this show on the road.
All right, come on over here, guest guy.
Thank you.
Local Louie, everybody. He's back.
We're back. It's been a while. I'm used to being a little bit down the street at the SAS Fitness, but now it's a new time. We're over here at the Fiddler's Poorhouse. We've been here for a couple months now. It's been great, and Gales has been great to us. Fiddlers has been great to us, and WeeStream has been providing some excellent technology. So, what do we have in store for you today? Well, we have a great show set up today. We're actually going to be talking about a few things. We got some local news that's happening. As you can see on our board over here, we have 0 active cases today, but we've only grown 2 cases since yesterday. So we are actually on track for a good COVID-19 cleanse. Hopefully we're getting through this. And I know the region is doing a great job with the mandatory masks and everything as well. But what are we expecting on the show today? Well, we're going to talk about the Black Lives Matter movement. What's been happening with the Black Lives Matter movement? We might be having a guest, actually the leader of one of the Justice for Black Lives organizations, on the show later on. And we're also going to be talking about, I don't know, some things that happened in the region. What has been going on in the region? We also have that trusty Zoom room. So if you want to come on, you want to chat on the show, you want to see what's going on, we got that Zoom room, 905-411-0411. I like the 411s going on over here. Kevin, how have you been? I haven't seen you in forever. We're finally
it's been too long.
Back in the studio, and we're doing another show.
Has been too long, Louie, and happy to have you in here on a Monday. A busy weekend as well. Yesterday, we had a pedestrian struck right by the St. Catharines train station, and then an armed masked robbery at the Canview Drive-In in Fawn Hill. So those are some of the things we'll touch on today. And that was all over Niagara 411, some of the comments as well. So it's been a busy weekend. It's nice coming in here on a Monday when there's lots to talk about.
It is. It's a sunny day. It's getting nice and hot out here today. We're not supposed to expect any more 30 degrees hot and humid weather, apparently, according to Environment Canada. But it is a nice 26 degrees out here on the streets of St. Paul Street and the wonderful St. Catharines for another edition of the 411. Let's take a look at the streets. You see the cars going by, the people walking by. Gorgeous day out here in St. Catharines. So you might have seen me as a contributor of the show. You might have seen me back on TMI on the WeeStream Niagara Network. But we are here and we're going to have a great show for you today. We want to talk about the Black Lives Matter movement. So what's been happening with the Black Lives Matter movement? Well, we've been seeing a lot of reports. There's been a lot of news stories all over the web, all over social media, especially particularly the Jacob Blake shooting. The Jacob Blake shooting has seemed to spark a lot of controversy and a lot of debate and a lot of action in the community. Let's see what actually happened, what took place. I think Kevin's got a video over here for you.
Yeah, so this is the video, Louie, and we should put out there that, there is graphic violence in this video. You hear gunshots. The end of it, we know that Jacob Blake sustained serious injuries, paralyzing injuries. And if you haven't seen it, here it is.
As you can see, there seems to be... He seems to, argue with the cops. He's not really resisting arrest or anything. He's just walking back to his car. They do shut out the orders, and they shoot him immediately. Apparently 7 shots hit his back and have paralyzed him from the waist down. There he is laying on the ground after that unfortunate event. And it's strange to see that. He had his back turned to the cops, and he still got shot. That is some pretty graphic scenery as well, Kev. You said that was really graphic. It is very graphic to see. It's unfortunate as well. How does something like that happen? What is the background information of that? That's what we want to get to know. And a lot of organizations have been protesting over this. We had the NBA strike. We had the NHL postpone a couple games. The NBA and NHL are now resuming their play, but there's been a lot of debate over this debacle that has happened this past week. The WNBA players have also shown their support by wearing T-shirts with 7 bullets on their back to support this Jacob Blake shooting. I want to get involved. I want to know more about this. I want to know more about the Black Lives Matter movement, what it is. I also want to know how we could do as a community, how we could get involved to kind of see like a change or a stop in this. So we're going to have a guest on eventually on our show. We're going to have Sheri on, and she's the head of Justice for Black Lives organization. I'm going to get involved and ask, what is the Justice for Black Lives organization, and what kind of things happen, right? We want to know how does something like this occur, and how do you just turn a blind eye to something like that? You can't.
What we can do in Niagara, what our impact is north of the border, what we can do as Niagarans. Sheri, who's coming on, she headed up the rally in Niagara Falls in June. So
and I was there.
Yeah, she was at the
Kevin.
fore. You were there. What was the sentiment like there? You were there on the street,
yes.
You know,
so,
shoulder to shoulder.
I actually didn't know how grand it was going to be, but there was a lot of people, probably the most people I've ever seen walking the streets at one time. It was a very, very big rally, and it was everyone from every color, every flock of Niagara. They got together, we got on the streets, and we had our signs of support, Justice for Black Lives, and the white silence is violence, a whole bunch of other chants and stuff going on down the street. We actually blocked off all of the Victoria Road, Victoria Avenue, down by Clifton Hill, all the way up towards Bridge Street. And then we walked all the way down Bridge Street, under the bridge, and we kind of all congregated under the bridge. And that's where I actually met Sheri for the first time. She might not know who I am, obviously, because I was just a little speck down on the ground. But Sheri was there, and she was organizing the event and leading some chants and giving us some valuable knowledge about what the Black Lives Matters is and what the organization Justice for Black Lives is. We kept shouting in solidarity. It was really good seeing everyone come together for sort of a community event.
So, Louie, we just shared the video there of Jacob Blake, and we can re-air that if people want, if that's a video footage that you hadn't seen for whatever reason. And that was about a week ago, a little over a week ago.
Just a little bit over a week ago.
And there was big outcry over that. But then in the subsequent protests, there was the one guy, and you know what, his name escapes me, and it doesn't matter because I really don't want that guy's name. But I think the two videos juxtaposed against each other really fueled the fire.
It did.
At least in my opinion. I saw the Jacob Blake video, and sadly we've seen that video too many times. Then 2 days later to have a white person kill two people, firing not randomly but targeting people in a crowd, and then walking away with an AK-47 around his shoulder.
Yeah,
walks right by police officers.
It's unfortunate. I don't even want to mention the man's name as well, because I don't like to glorify not only a shooting. I don't like to glorify any, I don't believe in having to drive across state lines with a rifle on your back and go to a middle of a crowd and start shooting. Like what starts that? Why would you go into a middle of a crowd with a gun and you're immediately going, like, you're thinking that he had a plan going into it? So a lot of people are thinking this could be a militia, this could be a malicious attempt, it was premeditated, a whole bunch of factors. But we want to get to the bottom of it. We're going to investigate it. We'll bring up the video here.
So again, should give a warning, Louie, on this one. Another
graphic warning. What you may see here is very graphic. There is some violence. There's even death. So if you are watching, please, viewer discretion advised while you watch this. We'll put it up right now. And you can see the gunman is the one that's running through the crowd right now as he gets tackled. He's still running. There he goes. He's on the ground right now, and some people have come to intervene, and you could see him holding the rifle and shooting directly at them. Again, viewer discretion is advised. And so 3 people just got shot right there, and now he seems to be walking, and no one wants to go up near him. Obviously, they've seen what happened to the other people that just shot him, and he just seems to be walking casually down the street, Kev. It's very, very strange, but let's take a look at this. Continuing to walk through. Now he's running towards the cops too. After just shooting multiple victims, he's just running towards the cops right now. And there's no tackling going on. There's no shots being fired. There's no police even meeting him at the scene. He's just casually just walking right up to the police officers. Very strange. It's very strange to see, Kev. I've never seen anything like this. It really does juxtapose the two videos that we just showed. Jacob Blake has his back turned to the officer and he gets shot 7 times. And here we have a white male just walking up casually past these SWAT units. And apparently he was trying to turn himself in here as well. From what I know, he was trying to turn himself in, walking to the cops. Apparently he ended up walking through the cop line, driving back to his home, and falling asleep, eventually turning himself into his local county department the day after. Could you go to sleep knowing that you just shot 3 people? I don't think I could, Kev. That's a strange matter here. We gotta talk about the difference.
It's crazy. It's crazy, Louie.
There's a thing that's been brought up quite a bit. It's been white privilege seems to be the thing that's brought up a lot. And when you see these two videos back to back like that, it's hard to say that there isn't such a thing as white privilege. But when you do see those two videos, you definitely see the contrast between two different sides of this movement that's been going on. And I want to talk specifically about this Black Lives Matter movement. I want to learn more about it. I'm not too, like, I did go to the rally. I have been on the streets. I do understand what's going on, but I want to know how I could get more involved in what we could do to kind of better that, you know what I mean? So we have that coming up with Sheri, Darlene, and the Justice for Black Lives organization. The rallies, we want to figure out what other rallies have been held and if there are any future rallies, because in the States they're currently rallying right now every single day since the original shooting, since the original George Floyd incident. They have been rallying around all over the United States, all over Portland, every major city, and there's been riots, there's been protests, there's been looting. Kind of got to figure out what's going on in society. So it's good to see what's been going on. How has Niagara been tackling that? What has Niagara been doing to sort of get involved, to sort of spread awareness and spread, give people the knowledge that they need about the situation at hand and what's been happening. I want to take this minute to thank Kevin for allowing me back here on WeeStreem Niagara as well. It's been a while since I have been on TMI. That was my old show. But now we are back with the 411, and we have a great show in store. So, Kevin, we are also talking about some other news stories that's been happening around Niagara. Apparently, there's a missing ball python that Niagara police have been searching for as well. We'll get into that later on. And, that Canview robbery. That's something else that we have to dive on to later. But for right now, we have Sheri Darlene, which is the leader of the Justice for Black Lives movement. Sheri, how are you doing today?
Yeah, she just... Sorry, Lou, just get her a second here to get herself situated in the green room. But if anybody else wants to comment on this, you could also hop in our Zoom room, and you just click on the link right there, okay? It's in the description, or if you have the Zoom app, 905-411-0411. And it turns out that I put a passcode on today, and it's Raptors with capital R.
Raptors is the password today.
I apologize for that. Didn't know I had a password on there. But yeah, we'd love to hear what you think about this, what Niagara thinks about this.
Yeah, we want to know what Niagara is thinking about this.
Get a variety of different opinions. But you said that there's the ball python on the loose. We've got the robbery at Canview Drive-In, which is pretty scary. That was last night. Also last night, a pedestrian was struck by a train just over by the train station, like Ridley College area. Mm-hmm. So we'll touch on all that as the show continues. But I'll let you introduce Sheri here, and let's bring her onto the program.
Yeah, Sheri, can you hear me, Sheri?
Oh.
Hello, Sheri.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sheri,
thumbs up? No.
Can you hear me, Sheri?
Thumbs up, you can hear me. Okay. I can't hear you.
Sheri cannot hear me. So we're just going to work out the technical aspect here. Get it down. We'll get Kevin working in the behind the scenes.
Sorry, Sheri, you can't hear us? Let's see what's going on here.
Just take a look at that in 1 sec.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Still
Sheri.
can't hear anything.
Oh, that's too bad. I'll try and iron this out, okay?
We'll iron it out behind the scenes. Because we really want to figure out what is the Justice for Black Lives movement, what is that organization, what they stand for, and all the things that they've been doing around the Niagara region. Oh, can you hear me now, Sheri? There we go, Sheri.
Yeah, sorry, had a cable that I didn't get to. Louie, that's on me.
That's okay, KJ.
That's on me on this one. But don't worry, Sheri, it's on our end, not yours. So you should be able to hear us now. And
Yes, I can hear you now.
all right,
Awesome.
cool. So let's bring Sheri onto the program, and I apologize for that.
Sheri, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. So you are the head of the Justice for Black Lives organization, that's correct?
Yes.
Awesome. And what is the Justice for Black Lives organization?
Justice for Black Lives is grassroots. It was developed the demonstration that we did on June 6, 2020. Seemed like there was a need for it because I thought we would just do our demonstration and maybe have a few conversations amongst my friends who helped me organize it, but there was a very strong call for this to continue.
And there is. And as you can see, there's events, there's stuff taking place every single day related to this issue, and they're still protesting every day in the States. So what kind of rallies, you said that there was a July rally, what kind of rallies have been held and what kind of demonstrations have you guys been a part of?
Justice for Black Lives just held the one demonstration on June 6th in Niagara Falls. We have attended the St. Catharines demonstration as a group collectively, but really we just been at home in the office at the drawing board trying to seat ourselves at the table where we can implement real change. Justice for Black Lives is very hard behind the scenes. We are working on some projects for more demonstrations, not in the near future because of the COVID, but we're not going anywhere.
And it's kind of difficult now, especially now during this COVID season where we can't even go over and help our neighbors across the border. But have you been in contact with any of our neighbors over the border and get their opinion on what's been happening over there and over here? Have they seen what happened, what you guys have been doing over here? Have they seen what you guys have done and the demonstrations that you guys have put on?
Yes, I have been in contact. Majority of my family, my mother's over there, my father's extended family, my aunts and cousins, they are very aware of what we're doing over here. They're very proud of me. But they, my mother in particular, I keep telling her, keep your bags packed. It's a good idea to tap into that Canadian citizenship because she is a native of Niagara Falls. She was born and raised. He is Canadian. But right now, America is a bubbling volcano.
Yeah, it seems like it is. It seems like it's ready to erupt at any moment. As you've seen, we had the protests for the NBA. We had the games canceled with the NHL. So you could see some organizations trying to do their part in support of this movement. How do you think the community is doing? How good of a job do you think the community is doing coming together? And have you seen any changes? What is the goal for the community in this movement?
For our community, Niagara?
Yep, the community Niagara.
The goal is for change, period. And we only can do that through education. The goal is to get ourselves in our politics. There's no people of color in politics. I need to see people that look like me because I'm really tired of not seeing that. I've never seen it. We need to start encouraging our youth to look into political careers. We need in education. We need to go into our Niagara South Board of Education. We need to really stop romanticizing the real history, and we need to teach these kids the truth. And that's what Justice for Black Lives are. We really are setting up platforms for change, real change, because we're done asking, we're now demanding, and these are not terrible things. It's not like, we're asking them to drink a glass full of acid. We're asking to be treated equal in every realm of society, and I don't think that's a huge ask. We don't want special treatment. We just want equality. And the only way we're going to do that is via education. And I can't stress that enough.
And I couldn't agree more, too. I think we do need to educate ourselves. That's actually leading into my next question, because me being a white male myself, I want to know what I could do to sort of support this? I know that I could educate and get involved with the rallies, but what can I do myself as a white male to get involved in this movement?
What you could do is you can align yourself, find an organization that, do your vetting, find an organization that you feel like is helping a cause that you're passionate about, align yourself with that organization, and be a productive part of it. You are going to have to prepare yourself for a lot of negativity. You got to have thick skin to do this, white or black, it doesn't matter. I think that especially is true for white people, because you're going to get I like to call them the yeah buts. But what was he doing? Yeah, but he did this, and yeah, but this is what happened, and yeah, and the fact is, right is right and wrong is wrong.
Exactly.
And if you do that, then you got to go back to the drawing board. So in order to be a true ally, don't be a yeah, but be a true ally. You want to go out there, speak up. When you're amongst your white peers and there's nobody black around, and you hear the word nigger, don't sit there silently. Because that's how this begins. And you're going to get people who look at it. You're going to get people who wonder why you're sticking up for this, and why does it bother you so much? It should bother you just as much as it bothers me, and I should not have to be in the room, nor should a person of color have to be in the room for you to express that is not acceptable language.
Sheri, it's Kevin here behind the scenes and just hopping in. I know you can't see me, but the audience can. I was in that situation probably a year and a half ago. I was in a restaurant in Niagara Falls, and a guy came up to our table and in the course of discussion used the N-word twice. I was thoroughly offended. I was pretty close to punching the guy out because of his attitude and the use of the words, but I did nothing. What should we do? Is there language that we could use? Is there an approach that we can take?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What you can do is let them know right away, I don't appreciate that. That's offensive to me. And you're going to get that weird look on your face like, well, you're not black. And then educate yourself on the word. Educate yourself on the insidious history of the word. And when you hear that, instead of I know it's hard not to lead with anger, but when you hear that coming from one of your white peers, educate them, and they're going to become very uncomfortable. And I find when you put the spotlight and you shame and let them know that just because you're amongst white people, we're not comfortable with what you're saying. Please don't speak like that around me, and if you do, I don't choose to keep your company. And you will find, you may not be around to witness it, but the next time that man gets around his comfort circle, so to speak, amongst white people, he might think twice about using that word, because he doesn't know. Now, he'll be very conscious about it if there's a black person in the room. But if amongst his white peers, he's really going to think twice about saying that word again, because he was interrupted and he was educated, and that spotlight of shame was put on him when he did it amongst his white peers previously. So that's how you feel that. You let him know, stop him right in his tracks. You let him know right away. That's not what I'm dealing with here. I'm not trying to.
I honestly feel there was a missed opportunity there for education, for me to stand up and do the right thing. Sheri, I want to get your opinion on what happened in Kenosha. What's your take both on, I guess, the two videos that have been released and the two videos that we shared off the top of the program?
I'm going to tell you a few things about that. Again, at the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong. I don't care what Blake was doing. At the end of the day, it's equality. If a white boy can go into a church, pray with these people, that's sick, you know? He sat down, he prayed, and then he shot 9 of them at point blank range. And then he got picked up, he got a bulletproof vest put on him, taken to Burger King, and he arrived alive at the station to be booked in charge as a criminal should. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's that equality word again. It doesn't matter what he was doing. Doesn't matter what type of criminal he was. Doesn't matter about his past. If he's a criminal, then you arrest him like a criminal. You don't shoot him 7 times in the back. And then we've got the young man with the semi-automatic weapon who arrived at the protest. And if you ask me, he arrived there. You don't go somewhere with a gun without the intention on shooting people. Period.
Exactly. Yeah, I said that earlier too. I said you don't show up to a random spot. You're planned. That's a premeditated attack right there. So exactly. You do see the juxtaposition between the two things. Like, I don't think it's fair that you could just be that he's able to just walk through the police line like that and isn't met by anyone before that point. Just walk straight through. That's why we want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, we all know what would have happened if that was a young black man or an older black man or anybody of color with a gun strapped around him walking down the middle of the road. I counted the number of vehicles, police vehicles, that passed this young man. He had 3 armored trucks drive past him. He had 1 cruiser sitting in front of him, another cruiser on the corner, and then another cruiser drove down the street. That's six police vehicles. And he was able to walk home. We all know he wouldn't have, not only would he not have made it down the street, he would not, they show video of him having conversation with the police prior to any of this happening. And, you know, them offering him a snack, and he's explaining to them that he's there to defend, you know, the stores. And I'm sorry, do you have some sort of stake in those stores? Do you own those stores? You know, he went there with the intention to incite violence. That was his pure intention. And I've had a lot of people, one woman in particular, she posted on Facebook, you know, how it was such a terrible thing and how much empathy she had for this young man because he was groomed to be hatred, and it's just so sad how his life's going to turn out because of this. And I had to tell her, your comment is very insensitive to people of color. Well, you know, I'm just an empathist, and I'm just saying it's terrible. You know what? I don't feel sorry for him. I don't feel sorry for him at all. Because at the end of the day, I don't know how intelligent you were at 17, but I knew not to strap a gun on me, regardless of how I was groomed. I knew what you know what I mean? We all have common sense. So for you to ask me to feel sorry for this young man for being groomed into being a terrorist, I can't do that. I can't do that, because what's going to happen is 9 times out of 10, I believe this young man's going to walk. And what's going to happen is 10 years from now, he's probably going to be on our police force. You understand, you know what I mean, policing the community. Mm-hmm. And this nonsense that black people are trying to bring to the forefront to get white people to understand.
And you touched on another term right there, the word terrorist, and they seem to be reluctant to use that term terrorist, and it seems to be because of anyone that is seen as a threat, and they're the white skin color. They don't like to strap on the word terrorist, and I like that you use that word terrorist, because that's exactly what it is. It's enacting fear, and it is a kind of a terrorist plot. You planned and premeditated and went with the rifle strapped on your back right into the territory where you know that it's going to be a hostile territory. You know going into that it's going to be a hostile territory, and it doesn't matter. Like you said, he doesn't have any stakes in the businesses or anything like that. You have no right or reason to protect something that's not yours from another county, going all the way to another county. So I like that you use the word terrorist there, because a lot of people are reluctant to use that term.
They're only reluctant when that person is a white person.
Exactly.
And what a lot of people don't understand is they're crying. There's this outcry of how the system is broken and we have to fix the system. And what they fail to understand is, since the beginning of time, this system is not broken. The system is working exactly how they designed it to work. And that's what it's a very, my girlfriend made a very, she coined it as the system that they've developed, policing, and it's geared towards white supremacy. She said she likes to put the analogy of it's like a Swiss watch, where it's some of its secrets are told, but a lot of it is how they do it, and it's meant to last forever and tick forever. And the only way we can't fix a system that's not broken. It has to be dismantled. Mm-hmm. Period. It has to be dismantled. We'd have to get back at the table and put it back together, but we got to put it back together with people of color at the table.
Now, Sheri, turn my mic on here. Sheri, I don't think that many people think that I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to be a racist, yet we find ourselves living in a racist society. So you say change the system. What can we do? What can I do today? What can people watching? What can we do today, tomorrow, and next week to try and correct this?
Well, like I said before, this is a system that's been designed since the beginning of time. It's doing exactly what they designed it to do. And the only way that we can dismantle is we have to start putting the pressure on our politicians. And that's how you get things like that done. It's not going to happen overnight, but if enough people come together and demand change, and that means people of all color. We can all look and see what's going on in the world, and we can see the levels. We can see that there is a huge, huge problem here. we can see that these are not equal playing fields. And until we get serious, and until we get realistic about what's going on in the world, even here in Niagara Falls, racism is alive. It's been nurtured. I like to call it impeccable, infectious ignorance, because it's been perfected. It's infectious because I'm not the one who keeps it alive. I don't know anybody in my family who's of color who teaches their child hate someone because of the color of their skin. It's white people who have fed and nurtured and kept this alive. So as a collective group of the community and white allies and people of color, we've got to go to our politicians and demand change. Do you think the school system's going to, until we said anything, they thought their curriculum was great. I don't know about you, but how many times, when I sat in a classroom being the only black student and reading a book where they drop nigger every second sentence, nobody saw any problem with that. However, this is what you think, this is the literature that you've provided for your children. But let's like I said, let's stop romanticizing the history. Let's tell the truth. Let's tell the truth about the insidious history of how white supremacy has been bred in every facet of every system around the world.
And we gotta first we gotta inform ourselves. We gotta do our own due diligence, and we gotta be a positive voice for change in the community. I want to thank you so much, Sheri, for coming on. And is there anything else that you'd like to say? Anything that any other rallies going on later on in the future that you have planned?
Not right now. We do have a lot of stuff going on. Starting November 26th, we will be doing the opening for the Justice for Black Lives in combination with the North to Freedom exhibit will be on display at the Niagara Falls History Museum. Again, I'm working with the Niagara Falls Public Library, our local high schools, the Niagara College Library. I'm going to be doing some open discussions, sort of like a book club. I encourage every white person who wants to align themselves with justice and to make change. You see, I have this book propped up behind me. That's not a coincidence. I would like every white person who's got 2 eyes and 2 ears to go, they have the book at Walmart, go buy that book, White Fragility, and read it. When you're done reading it, you pass it on. And you just, under the pretense, you give that book away under the pretense that you continue to pass that on. When we can get white people to accept what is in that book and understand, that is groundbreaking, that book. As far as I'm concerned, it needs to be in the high schools. It needs to be part of the curriculum. That is a groundbreaking book, and it's the first step to making change.
Well, I stand with you and the Justice for Black Lives organization, just as I did for that one rally that we had in the Falls. I want to thank you for coming on, Sheri. Kevin, would you like to say anything to Sheri? Thank you so much for coming. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Sheri.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
You as well. And that was Sheri for the Justice for Black Lives organization. We're fighting off a couple bees in here, but as you can see, Kev, we have to inform ourselves. We have to kind of sort of do our own due diligence and our own background to kind of get involved with this matter, because it is something that we are not we can't see these things. Like we said, I'm a white male. We have not grown up with this systemic racism that other people have, but that hasn't been the case always, and now we are starting to see the grassroots, the beginning stages of change for this movement. And hopefully, like she said, she wants to see more black politicians. We need some people of color in there so we could start to see a little bit of change and just end racism. I don't stand for racism. I wish that we could just get rid of it altogether, but it's good that we have a voice on that matter. Now let's take it to the 411. What have we been seeing this week? We had a armed robbery at the Canview Drive-In?
Yeah, so Canview Drive-In, it's a local hotspot. We love it. We love having an outdoor drive-in movie theater here in Niagara. It's, near and dear to all of us. Everybody's brought their kids there. Everybody's gone there as a kid. And last night, it's usually staffed by teenagers working, and then an armed robbery.
Armed robbery. I love the Canview Drive-In. I actually have been there twice, maybe even 3 times this summer alone. I cannot even think about anyone going up and they must have went right to the booth with a handgun and armed them at gunpoint. I feel bad for the people that are working. That could be anyone's children, right? That could be your kid. It's run by a lot of teenagers. A lot of teenagers are working there. It's a great summer job, and to have their security kind of at threat there, it's kind of a scary thought, Kev. It's something that I wouldn't want my kids to go through. But let's take a look at the comments here. And as you see, we got Roger Demers here. He says, 3 of my kids were working here tonight. Everyone was pretty amped up, and there's quite the police presence. So the police did get to the matter. Hopefully, I don't think we've seen anything on the suspect, or we haven't found any of...
No, he's still at large.
Still at large.
And you hear from some of the Niagara 411 faithful. So Roger is saying, look, 3 of my kids are working there tonight. This is just last night. Thanks. Yes, they each called us to let them know that they're safe. And then we have a bunch of other people in the same situation. There's Julie,
another one. My
Julie
kid
Black
too.
Birmingham.
Wow, my kid too. The worst nightmare as a parent. Glad they're okay. We thought of them as soon as we heard the news. I think the first thing I would do too, if my kid was working there, I'd probably try to rush there as soon as possible, just because I'd want to make sure that their safety comes first. But seems like no one was harmed, and they did end up working through the day afterwards, so that's a good thing. A couple other news stories that's been going around in Niagara. We had that person on the train tracks. What happened over there on the railroad tracks? And whereabouts are those railroad tracks? 'Cause I'm a Niagara Falls native myself, Kevin. I'm not too savvy of the St. Catharines geography. I don't know how to get my way.
Well, take your left hand and point it down the road.
So down that way.
Down that way. I mean, we're on St. Paul right here, and just, you go across Burgoyne Bridge, not too far from there, and there's the St. Catharines train station right by Ridley College. And there, a pedestrian was hit yesterday around 8 o'clock at night, sustained serious injuries. The train was able to come to a stop. They were probably pulling into the station, so not going too fast. It takes like a mile for these trains to stop, right? So the train stopped. I think they either administered first aid or were able to get first aid there. The helicopter came in, I believe, and serious injuries, and the victim was transported out of hospital. So both these things happening last night between 8 and 9 p.m. We got an armed robbery at the Canview in Fawn Hill, and then just down the road we got a pedestrian struck by probably the Via train or the GO train or something like that, although it might have been CP or CN at the time.
Well, I'm glad that they are alive and they are in serious condition, so we pray for their health, and we hope that they are okay and they could come back to a full recovery after that. That's unfortunate, but quite the events happening over the weekend here in Niagara. Later on in the show, we're also going to be bringing on a guest that I know specifically from mainly Niagara. Her name is Sheri as well, so we have a double dose of Sheri today on the show.
But Louie, you don't know this, but I can see the man you're filling in for, Lee Sterry, is on vacation in British Columbia, gets to meet his grandson for the first time, but all the way from BC, has decided to join us live on the program.
Wow, look at this. What a pleasant surprise. Lee, how are you?
Hey, I'm great, Louie.
How has your trip been over there?
It's been just absolutely wonderful. We had some rain last Penticton, which is an unusual event, but considering the fact that they had the fires here on Christie Mountain last week and the week before, a little bit of rain sure isn't going to hurt. So I'm standing right behind me. I don't know if you can see as I move this camera around, sort of a mountain line behind, just at the top of my head.
Looks gorgeous.
And if you scroll over like that, just on the other side of that ridge is where those fires were, and you can see the big plume of smoke from here. I'm standing in my son's front, actually, in Penticton up in the hills. So that's where the fires were before. So I just thought I'd check in and wish you luck with the show. Hope things are going well for you.
And they are. It's been a smooth sailing so far. We had a little bit of things we had to go. I actually did a walk up. I couldn't use the payphone because I actually forgot my quarter. I know you like to use the payphone to start off the show, but I forgot my quarter, so I couldn't make a phone call. So I had to use the good old-fashioned cell phone for my phone call. But
I'm afraid, though, Louie, that's my office. That is no payphone.
I like your office. Yeah.
I'm not so sure that we gave you access to that. Kevin, did we do that? I don't know.
No, I didn't give him the key.
No, I think you got the keys with you over in BC.
Hey, Lee, the horizons in BC are fantastic. How's the little guy? I know you became a grandpappy, and this is your first time to see the newborn.
Yeah, actually, it was my second grandchild that came out here that's brand new that I've seen for the first time, and she's a lovely little girl by the name of Ella. And her middle name is named after her mom, Linda. So it's Ella Lynn Sterry, and she is just an absolute joy. And so it's been just nice spending time with her. And my grandson, who's here, he just had his second birthday yesterday.
Wow.
And actually the day before, we had a bit of a birthday party.
Happy belated birthday?
Yeah, so it was a couple of days ago that we had his second birthday party. And this kid looks like he's 2 going on 5. I don't know what they're feeding him, but he's absolutely, I can hardly lift him. He's absolutely huge. But anyway, it was a lot of fun, and family is important, and we don't get a chance to see them enough. But we're relishing the moments, as it were.
I guess so. Lee, I know you're on your way back, so we'll let you go. You'll be back here for the Labor Day show. Any rules in Canada? I'm assuming not when traveling province to province. Do you need to quarantine? Anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of at this point. And believe me, walking around and spending time here in Penticton, you never know that there was a thing called COVID. Nobody's wearing masks. There's no mandatory rules. The only thing that you do see when you go into some places is the fact that you've got some social distancing signs that are put up.
That's good. Yeah, at least they're doing some measures, but they probably also don't have as vast of a region as we do here. They're probably going to take. They could have a little bit more lax rules and regulations.
There's less intensity here than there would be there for sure. Well, listen, we'll check out Louie. Enjoy the rest of the show, and Kevin, in a week or so.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Stay
for
well,
popping
Lee.
on,
Enjoy
Lee.
it.
Nice seeing you.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.
Take care. What a pleasant surprise, Kev. Bringing Lee, the host of this show, over from BC over here. That's crazy. I love seeing a familiar face on the show, and especially the host of this show over in BC, giving us his COVID-19 update. So it's a little bit laxed over there, eh, Kev? It's a little bit different than what we got going on here in St. Catharines, Niagara, and the whole Niagara region. But maybe we'll start to see a little bit more lax regulations with the schools being opened up and the lack of cases, because we only have 2 open cases.
Now, he's more like in the Okanagans, he's in Penticton and things like that, and there's not dense population. So I don't know necessarily that Penticton's tracking numbers. Right now, we threw those numbers up. Maybe I'll try and pull them up again. Currently in Niagara, there are 20 active cases.
20 active cases.
If you're living in Penticton and that number is 0, how much are you going to protect yourself from infection that's not existing in your community at the moment? I don't know. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know what the exact numbers are there.
Yeah. Well, that is interesting to see, though. I'd like to see Lee on the show. This is his show. I'm taking over just for this week. You'll see Lee back on the show. He's been doing a great job for Gales. He's been doing a great job for WeeStreem and the Livestream Niagara team. Thank you so much, Lee, for coming on. We're going to have Sherri on the show. I don't know if what's going on over there on her end, but we're also going to bring up this story about the Niagara Falls ball python.
Yeah, you mentioned it, and Sherri's in the Zoom room. She's just getting herself kind of acclimatized. So let's talk about the ball python, then we'll get to her.
Yeah, so the ball python on the loose. So let's go to the comments here, because one of my biggest fears, Kev, is snakes. But I know, even myself, I'm not an experienced lizard guy. I don't know too much about reptilians or reptiles or anything, but I know that ball pythons aren't that deadly. But let's see what we got over here in the comments. Poor thing, likely was being given some free time in the house and found an open window. I wonder how prone to escaping these snakes are, but not to worry, guys. As we see in the comments, it's not going to hurt anyone. It's probably looking for some food or some shelter or its way home.
I was looking for Mr. Sarcastic here, Sean Dexter.
Anyone pick it up and find a nice home for it. Whoever lost it didn't give it a good home. Snake lives matter. Hashtag snake lives matter. That's funny.
I mean, don't mean to make light of a very serious topic, but you can't help but chuckle at that. Snake lives matter. But the ball python, let's take a look at this thing, Louie. I mean, it's no joke.
No, it isn't. If I was walking around, I would think that would be a poisonous snake, and I probably would not go near it. So I think it would be best to leave that to the Niagara Falls Police and the authorities, the proper authorities, to handle that. Because you don't want to be picking up any snakes that you've never seen or heard of before.
That's what nightmares are made of right there, Louie.
I always have this reoccurring nightmare where I'm in the bathroom and I'm going to the washroom and a snake comes right out of the toilet.
Yeah.
That seems to be one of my biggest fears. And
I've got that fear too. What's with that? It seems
there
irrational.
There might be a term for it other than being afraid of snakes, but there could be a term for it.
No, but why that specifically? I have that too. A snake's going to come right up through the water in the toilet.
I think it's because that's your most vulnerable point. You know, you don't want to get caught at your most vulnerable point, and I think that's when we are most vulnerable over there. But yeah, so there's a ball python on the loose. People do not pick it up. Let the authorities handle that. And that's just some of the crazy activities that's been going around Niagara lately. But we have
bring Sherri on.
Oh, look we have Sherri Hawkins over here, which is the lead in Mainly Niagara, the head of Mainly Niagara. Sherri, how are you doing today?
I'm good. And by the way, I'd like to address the whole snake in the toilet thing.
Yeah, do it up.
So I think that came from, there was some stories in the late 80s and early 90s of that actually happening.
Wow.
Snakes coming up in the sewer and ending up in people's toilets. And I think Kevin and I are from the same generation. So Kevin, do you remember any of these stories from the...
I don't know. I thought it was always just based on irrational fear, not on actual real stories. And even the real stories, I don't know. Can you fact check them? Did they actually happen? I don't know.
I don't know. It could just be an urban legend type thing. But I think those stories got stuck in our consciousness, and because I have the same fear, I really do.
All right. Other than the ball python, Sherri, what has been happening with you and the Mainly Niagara crew? So over the weekend, we had a little guys' night out for the Mainly Niagara crew. We actually took on Queen Street, and we did some events. What kind of things did we do over there on Queen Street? You were the one that set it up. I would like you. Tell the people, what is there to do during this COVID-19? Was there anything that, because people are looking for ways to get out of their house and they don't know what to do, but what did we end up doing?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was great, and I'm so glad that you participated in that, but I reached out to Adventure Rooms, and they have 3 rooms right now. They just got a new room a couple of weeks ago called Moonshine that they're promoting. I actually tried to book us for that, but it was sold out, which is great. I love to hear that. But we did an adventure room, and then we went over to T-Reality, which is a virtual reality video gaming center.
And that's something I've never done before. That was quite the experience.
Yeah, I figured you as a gamer especially would really appreciate that. What was your take on it?
So going into it, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how immersive it would actually be. And then once you actually get that headset on, it does. Yeah. It feels like you are right locked in the game. It feels like you are there, and everything that's happening around you feels like real life. It's as immersive as it gets. It's a very good experience, and I actually cannot wait to go again. They're doing that through booking, as I'm sure during the COVID season they have to book specific things because you're putting on the gear. Another thing we want to talk about is they have to sanitize the stuff too still.
They do.
So they have vinyl wipes, they had hand sanitizer, we had our masks on. They are very COVID friendly, and there's still events going on in Queen Street that we could do.
There are. Yeah. And then after that we popped down to Camp Cataract, and they have like ping pong you can play. They do actually have a lot of board games in Crokinole, but right now they're not allowing us to play those. But there are certainly events going on. They've had Improv Niagara there. They had Alex Kazam, who is a magician, and they've always got comedy night with Joel Van Vliet is coming up next Wednesday. So they've always got something going on there.
And I missed that too, because just before this COVID-19 sort of hit, we started reaching out to Queen Street, going to Camp Cataract, doing a lot of events and covering a lot of events for Mainly Niagara. And then sort of this COVID-19 hit, and it kind of put a halt to that. But now, as I got a bike going past, and now it seems like
it's loudest
we're starting to
motorcycle
pick up
ever.
steam again. It looks like everything's it's pretty loud. Still getting used to being outside and having this door open, not like the last studio at SAS Fitness. But so it looks like Queen Street's opening back up again, and there's quite a few things to do, especially around Niagara.
There is a lot, actually. They've been doing a really good job of promoting it down there. So they've had a promenade from St. Clair for the block there in front of Paris Crepes. They've had that blocked off for about 6 weeks now. So every Wednesday night they have a free movie night. This week is Back to the Future.
Oh, wow.
They have a big screen TV that they roll out, and you bring your lawn chairs, and it's free to view. And then I think it's actually, I wrote it down. It's September 16th. They're having, this is going to date me, but but Pat Mastroianni, he is Joey from the original Degrassi.
Oh, wow.
He's actually going to be there to promote the Degrassi movie, and we're going to watch the Degrassi movie. So for people who from the 80s who
that could be Cajun. Cajun, did you watch any Degrassi back in your day?
Absolutely. Joey Jeremiah, man.
Yeah.
That's Joey Jeremiah. He had the hat. Yeah. Definitely predates you, but let me tell you, those guys, they shifted trends amongst teens in Canada for
they sure did.
Probably a good decade or so. And everybody remembers Snake and the girls.
Yes. Oh, well done, Kevin.
And
But I mean, they were one of the only crossover shows into the States. They actually became quite popular in the States, too.
And great after-school feel to it. They broach a lot of topics that at the time were considered groundbreaking.
Yes,
teen
teenage pregnancy. Yep.
There was also, they covered molestation, I believe, with Snake as
They
well,
did.
who was being abused by an adult.
It was very much ahead of its time, in my opinion.
Agreed.
And these are all things that are now starting to come back to light in these times too. So that's going to be good for the community to go and watch and kind of remember. Because I haven't watched any of the old Degrassi, but I grew up with the Degrassi, the new generation. So the Degrassi new generation was a little bit different. I don't remember too much of it because I was a little bit too young at the time when it was on. But as we know, like we had people like Drake who have become famous from Degrassi. So it is kind of like a cornerstone in Canadian culture. But it is cool that Queen Street is doing that. They're also doing that promenade. What's the Queen Street promenade?
Yeah, so basically like pretty much every night. I think it's only going to be running until about the middle of September, but there's something to do pretty much every night. So like Wednesday night, like I said, is the movie nights. Then on September 11th, they're having a drag show. There's a couple upcoming concerts that I haven't been openly promoted yet, but they're coming up as well. On September 18th, there's an event called Take a Seat on Queen, and they're going to have 5 Muskoka chairs and local artists doing live art demonstrations painting the chairs. So like Sarah Carter is going to be involved in that, Eva from Catch the Moment. So 5 local artists doing a live paint demonstration. So they're really doing some really, really cool things. So I would, and of course, the vendor pop-up markets every Saturday. We have vendors like that fill up that street. And we just need people to know that they're there, because right now, more than ever, we really need to be supporting our small local businesses.
Yeah.
They really,
so if you guys are looking for things to do, it looks like Queen Street is popping, especially on the weekends. Check out those vendor markets, check out those things. And it's cool to see what you have in store, Sheri. Thank you so much for sharing what you have with us. And thank you for coming on the show. Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure to see you, Louie. And I just have to say I've been really impressed with how you have sort of, pivoted your own role within COVID. Because like you and I were just starting off and doing some like really cool events. You got to go see Kenny versus Fenny, but then there was a weekend you were going to go to the tattoo thing, and that got canceled, and it was like there was like 3 really big events that just got
it looked like the beginning of the end, and then now it's starting to look like we're starting to build it back up, and we're coming back up, and COVID is starting to be in the blind. It's always going to be there, and it's going to take a while to kind of come back to reality and come back to normal. But as a community in Niagara Falls, I think we're doing a great job. Community in Niagara has been keeping everything down and making sure that there's still things to do and things going on, because we still have to live our lives and go about being happy. We have to find our happiness.
And I've loved seeing you on TMI, and it got really nice to be able to have a way to connect with the community through everything that WeeStreem was doing. And so thank you, Kevin, for doing that so consistently for a couple months there on your dime. And everybody should know that was a community supported event.
Cool, thanks,
you
Sheri.
guys did it for free. So you guys did a really, really good job, and really appreciated everything you did.
Awesome.
Thank you so much,
support.
Thank you for your support.
Cool.
Of course.
Have a great day, and I can't wait to see you again.
Yes, looking forward to it.
And figured I'd throw in the live look there of St. Paul Street, downtown St. Catharines. Now, in St. Catharines, they're doing the promenade on this stretch of St. Paul, but it's only on weekends.
On weekends.
So Friday night they shut her down, and then Sunday night they open it back up again. But
awesome.
It allows some of the restaurants, some of the businesses to pour out onto the street, get bigger patios. Now, here at Fiddler's, they got a big patio in the back. Probably one of the biggest in all of downtown St. Catharines. And they're open until 2 a.m., 7 days a week.
Wow.
So no matter what time of day, if you're thinking, because, we used to be able to just go out and get a bite to eat. And nowadays it's kind of left you as an option, but it is available. And you can come down here to Fiddler's and help out with that. And while we're talking about Fiddler's, we should let people know about all the great stuff that's happening over at Gales. Gales, proud sponsor of the 411.
Yeah, the Gales. Look at the Gales rewards. Fueling Niagara for the last 50 years. You get 1% back on the in-store fuel purchases before HST when you do sign up for this rewards program. So how do you take part? There's two ways. You visit any Gales location, you get yourself one of those Gales gas cards, or you download the app. And I'm sure if you are app savvy, you know how to find that app. You go on your app store, you search up Gales Rewards, you download it, and just like that, you can save 1% on your fuel purchases. And thank you so much, Gales, for fueling this as well.
Absolutely.
But I want to
wind's picking up there, Louie.
Yeah, I know. I'm blowing away. A lot of my notes are blowing away
and,
here.
And windy day on Saturday as well. And this happened courtesy of Niagara 411. Some people floating out in the river.
Oh, no. Water rescue in the Niagara River in Niagara. So 5 people were floating and they were unable to get back to shore. They had to get the St. Catharines fire rescue boats out there and the Niagara-on-the-Lake fire as well, and the Coast Guards. And it looks like they responded to it and they got them all back to safety.
Yeah, awesome.
That's good.
No, it's cool. I mean, it was really windy on Saturday.
It was.
And if you're out there, you're thinking I'm going to go for a nice float, but if you're on the wrong side of that current, you can't get back on a floaty if you're just a single person and thinking that you're going to swim Swanee to shore.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
and
swimming
you gotta
upstream,
hope if you are stranded that someone took the chance to even bring a cell phone on board with you so that you can call the emergency department services and get the help that you need, because that would be unfortunate if you were stranded without a paddle.
We've been camping out at Windmill Point, and in fact, the trailer's still there. I'm going back as soon as we're off the air, and the kids are still there having a good time. I hope everybody's doing well and being safe. Everybody's swimming in the quarry. On Saturday, we went for a kayak ride on the quarry, and the waves just brought us where the waves were bringing us.
Yeah,
and that's
sort of what happens too when you're going out there. You gotta account for the wind conditions and the current. Obviously, that changes the lake and how things work. But you don't want to be stranded without a paddle, and you want to make sure that you have your device with you so you can get the fire emergency services. But there's a thing called the net neutrality that has been quite the topic. But specifically, social media. We had Mayor Jim Diodati from Niagara Falls. He actually did a video we're going to bring up to kind of close out the rest of the show, because the 411 and WeeStream Niagara, we have been a pretty positive network. We don't allow any negativity. We don't allow any sort of online cyberbullying. We do have our opinions and we do express our opinions, but we respect other people's opinions, and we always try to talk with a form of respect. And we'll bring it up for you right now. Let's let Jim take it over and explain what
the big
social
question today
media
is how can
neutrality
you expand the social media neutral zone? Well, you can make your own page as a neutral zone as well. Invite your friends and your family to use the rules we've created. Pick up these graphics in my pages and use them on your own social media. They're for everyone. In the words of Gary Vee, social media keeps a record. Your grandkids will see the hate you spew, or they can see the love, the positivity, and the courage. So my suggestion, put something else in the center of the target.
Way to go, Jim, eh? Oh, way to go, Mayor Jim. So I'll pull up the original video, too, Louie, and get that out there. But Mayor Jim Diodati saying just that he's been a victim on social media.
And you can only imagine being a politician at this time, during this pandemic, and having to make a lot of sort of decisions right on the spot. Obviously, people are looking for change, and people want change immediately and instantaneously, but there's a process, and there's people working behind the scenes, and they're doing the best that they could do to kind of alleviate the situation. But unfortunately, that comes with some scrutiny, and that comes with some criticism, and that comes with a little bit of negativity. So a lot of people have been voicing their opinions online. They've been taking to Facebook and social medias. But as you saw, he brought up a target, and it seems like if you are the mayor, you do automatically have a target on your back, especially during a pandemic.
And you know what, Louie does a great job of explaining that, yes, I did run for public office, and I know that I'm a target, but at some point you cross the line. So I think this is a great message. So I'll let Mayor Jim Diodati take it away here.
Hi, this is Mayor Jim for Niagara Falls City Hall. Today I'd like to talk about social media etiquette. During COVID, we've had to learn a lot of new terminology. Things like safe zones, physical distancing, sanitization, masks. Unfortunately, social media is still ground for some hurtful and harmful behavior. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. And it is okay to disagree, but it is not okay to disrespect. Over the past months, it's been tense trying to navigate this pandemic. And during that time, I've been called everything from, I've got a list here, disgraceful,
Oh, he's got the list.
asshat, effing liar, misogynist, this guy is nuts, full of shit, idiot, douchebag, reckless and corrupt, not a leader, a ducking donkey, a mini Trump, a laughing stock, and a complete joke. Really? I mean, that hurts. We're better than that. Words have meaning. And you know, my kids and my family, my friends get exposed to that nonsense. And I realize I'm elected, and I'm elected to be a leader. And I'm passionate about being out front, taking it on the chin, and leading. But hate on my pages has to stop, and it will stop. And how? Because we're creating a social media neutral zone. The rules will be simple, just like we did for COVID. This will be a safe space for those around us. And no, I'm not trying to be a suck or avoiding criticism. In fact, I encourage
Yeah, I'd like to keep that.
constructive criticism.
As you can see,
But enough is enough,
Mayor Jim Diodati is just
I don't need a
explaining the
target
neutral.
on my
There's the
back.
target.
and neither do you. Because it's simply a decision to not accept it.
Don't
So
accept
stay
it.
tuned
And that's what we're doing
for all
over
the
here in
details
Livestream
of the
Niagara.
neutral zone.
We are keeping it a neutral zone ourselves. We've been keeping it a neutral zone since we started over here at Livestream Niagara. Now we got to extend that to the community. As Jim said, you automatically do have a target on your back as soon as you're running for a public office, or as soon as you're you're in his shoes. But what is it like to be in Jim's shoes? You got to really put yourself into there. And I think a lot of the people that are criticizing him and judging everyone, there's a lot of cyberbullying going on. It's not just kids, it's adults too. Seeing this around, it's just not right. It's not what the Niagara community should be about. So I would like to thank Jim for making that video and starting this sort of social neutrality and then getting rid of the negativity around social media.
And you were saying, Louie, that it's funny because in the comments of his social media neutral zone, people are being hateful.
Yeah.
People are being disrespectful. And again, it's okay to disagree, just don't disrespect. And people that are calling him a non-leader, that's what leading is.
Exactly.
Right there, what he's doing. Say, you know what? I'm going to take the bold step. I haven't seen anybody else do this. I'm going to go out there and say, listen, these words have meaning. It is hateful. It does hurt. It hurts me and it hurts my family. So let's stop. And what did he say there? Jerry V said that, social media documents everything. Mm-hmm. People for generations will be able to see your hateful comments.
And although you may delete it, there's always a footprint. As soon as you hit that send button, there's always a path. There's always a way to go back to and see what was said. But there has to be some sort of neutrality. There has to be the end of all negativity. We've seen it earlier in the show with the Justice for Black Lives. We need change. That starts right there, eliminating all the negativity with racism. And then now going back from a politician standpoint, we got Jim, who's on the news every single day, giving us updates for the weekly update for CHCH. So he's obviously going to have a target on his back, but he is doing his job. He's doing all he can to sort of combat this, and he's doing a good job. And we got to. I was told one thing as a kid, and I always stand by it. And it was, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And that's something that I've lived for. Before you hit that send button, think about what you're saying. Does it seem right? Does it have any sort of positive impact on what you want to do or what you're trying to accomplish? If it doesn't, why even hit the send button? And I think that's a good way to sort of segue out of our show today. We want to end on a positive note here, Kev. So we have 0 active cases. Hopefully that stays intact for the rest of the week, the rest of the month, and hopefully we can continue to live our lives despite this COVID thing. Kevin, is there anything that you would like to say about today's show?
No, man, welcome back. Great job, Louie. And we'll see everybody for a Labor Day Monday show with Lee Sterry back in the chair. Okay?
So take care, Niagara Falls residents. Local Louie signing off here. Thank you for having me back, Kevin. What a great show it was. Check out Livestream Niagara, like Gales Gaspar, and thank you, WeeStream.
You know, let's leave them with a nice shot of St. Paul Street here on our way out.